Have another set of 3 short presentations, and we really appreciate people sticking to the 5 minutes. We know it's a short time, but we want to have as many, projects showcased as possible, and also time for discussion. So we really appreciate it. So the next speaker for this session is Lara Perry. So Lara, if you can start sharing your screen, please.
Sure.
And the title of the talk is Digital Prospects for Inclusive Civic Museums.
So I'm the principal investigator on a project called Digital Prospects for Inclusive Historic Museums. I work at the University of Brighton. The main partners in the project are actual heritage organizations. It's looking in the order of the building, the organization's physical sites. On the left is the Delaware Pavilion, which is in Bexhill-on-Sea. In the middle is the Royal Pavilion and Museums in Brighton and Hove, which is also where I'm based. And on the far right, the Peel Center for Baltimore Architecture and History in Baltimore, Maryland. This project was funded by the UK-US Collaboration for Digital Scholarship and Cultural Institutions, and that's why it's a kind of 3-way partnership, 4-way, including me. All of these are small organizations, smaller, with either without collections, such as the Delaware Pavilion, or with collections that may not be the kind of main driver for the organization's function locally. They're all sited in historic buildings, which may pose their own issues for audience inclusion. So that was what kind of brought the project together, was thinking about how such organizations might improve their accessibility through digital initiatives. The proposition was that there are particularly audiences who might experience barriers to accessing these organizations that are physical, social, emotional, or cognitive. So we kind of looked across all of those potential barriers and tried to devise projects that each institution would host that would address some of those issues. So physical barriers posed by the site, or emotional ones, intellectual and emotional barriers that are posed by content and interpretation, or financial barriers to accessing specific forms of digital offerings. So those were the kinds of broad things that we were thinking about in terms of designing the projects. I should say too that we launched this project at the beginning of March of 2020, and the plan was for all of these to have a combined physical site and remote or digital component. And so all of these things have been redesigned to go as a kind of exclusively online set of events as a result of the pandemic. So it was kind of really timely, but also a bit tricky as well, because we weren't able to conduct the projects as we planned them. The Mindful Garden, Kevin Bacon, who's the digital director at the Royal Pavilion and Museums, is in the audience today, so he might answer some questions about this. This was part of an audio guide that was shifted to web-based so that it didn't need to have a specialist app or a specialized equipment. And it addressed the content from a different perspective, looking at the reflection of the listener on their physical situatedness in the garden of the Royal Pavilion, or in relation to the social function of different aspects of the garden for the community. And Kevin, this ran in the summertime. Kevin says that the access figures were relatively low, but that the dwell time was high. So people who liked it really liked it and stayed with it. And now we're working on getting and incorporating user feedback into the content, which was one of the bits that we had to postpone because of the pandemic.
Sorry, Lara, you have 1 minute left if you want to wrap up, please.
Okay. Peel Center, completely online project. Exhibition was planned as a physical one. We moved it to Second Life, the platform for alternative reality, and also to social media. And Delaware Pavilion in Bexhill-on-Sea, they are just starting their project now, which they decided to basically move the whole project to work with partners in the community and offer the resources of the project to those partners to take forward their agendas. So the provocations that have kind of arisen from this are, and this is also connected to the article that Mersini mentioned in the chat earlier. How do collections and education agenda, which is a strong focus of many heritage organizations, define their relationships with audiences? Has the pandemic asked us to change the way that we think about that? And also, how do cultural organizations involve their local communities in devising programming, including digital offerings? I think that is going to be one of the big findings of our project. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Lara. The next talk is about reappropriating colonial audiovisual archives preserved at KU Leuven. Thanks, Jonas, for stepping in. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you hear me well?
Very well.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Jonas. It's a great pleasure to present to you, albeit in a nutshell. I'll try to be brief. Angles, a brand new project of KU Leuven that is actually just starting, a project that uses audiovisual archives as a lever for reflection about colonial history and colonial heritage present at and preserved by the university. Let me begin by outlining the working structure first. Angles is funded through the Global Minds program of VLIR, which is a federal agency in Belgium that supports partnerships between universities in Flanders and the South. Global Minds having the specific objective to strengthen our own capacities in international cooperation. And this project was awarded through a specific fund called Open Faculty, which supports interfaculty and interdisciplinary proposals. Hence, I'm speaking on behalf of a wonderful team of KU Leuven colleagues that you see listed here, affiliated to the departments of Cultural Studies, History, Anthropology, and CADOC. I'll come back to CADOC later. And we're backed by two key players in the field of audiovisual archives in Belgium, Memo and Cinematheek. Now, what is a project about? The overarching objective is to achieve a collaborative reflection about the future of colonial archives, audiovisual archives in particular, held at KU Leuven. And the project very much ties in with the growing awareness within the University of Leuven of the need to critically engage with its colonial heritage and to push forward with a decolonial diversity and inclusion policy. Our specific starting point in doing this is the recently restored and digitized film collection of the Missionaries of Africa, or White Fathers, which is preserved at CADOC, the Documentation Center and Research Center on Religion, Culture and Society of KU Leuven. It's a collection that consists of 80 post-war film, colonial and post-colonial missionary films, mainly shot in today's Congo, Rwanda and Burundi. And that includes feature films, educational films, ethnographical films, etc. And Angles very much sprang from this digitization work and the prospect of opening up these sources to larger audiences. It is fueled by the awareness that digitizing and enhancing the accessibility of audiovisual archives material that is created in contexts of great inequality, of exploitation, that this involves some crucial ethical questions, questions that all orbit around one main issue. How do we overcome reproducing colonial attitudes, dynamics, even through well-intentioned heritage projects? And for reasons too diverse to elaborate upon here, these concerns very much apply to the White Father film collection. We, the Angles team, we conceived of a project that revolves around reapproaching, reviewing these films through a critical artistic approach. A few weeks ago, actually, we launched an open call for artists offering 3 grants to creative practitioners that are preferentially, but not exclusively, residing in Congo, Rwanda, and Burundi, or of Congolese, Rwandese, and Burundian heritage. And we're inviting these creators to produce an artwork that stems from a reflective dialogue with this digitized film archive. They will have the possibility to stay in Leuven during a residency. Their work will be embedded in a physical exhibition in Leuven. And in fall 21, we plan a symposium to put the project, the process, and its outcome in the spotlight. In short, Angles wants to take a multi-angled approach to colonial missionary films, to expose, to question, to counterbalance their unidirectional and condescending nature. And our conviction and other recent projects around the world confirm that, is that artistic approaches have the ability to contemporize the colonial archive, to enrich, to counterbalance the colonial archive, and to help forge a sense of appropriation, of ownership, not the archives in a material sense per se, but in the sense of claiming a position of authority and agency. And I would like to end by reformulating and returning this as a question to you. Do you have experiences with working with creative practitioners on digitized colonial historical material, or are you aware of similar projects? And what are your thoughts on going through such a process, such a collaboration as an avenue for decolonizing the archive and making it more inclusive? Voila, I'll leave it here. There is our website on which you will find more background information on the project, the film collection, links to our partners, and also the call in both English and French. The deadline is the 15th of March. So if you think this is an interesting call for your network, feel free to spread the word. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Jonas. Thanks for a wonderful project. I know there's people in the audience who are interested in this theme, so hopefully there'll be some chatting around in the chat. Also a reminder that all links and information on all the projects presented today can be found in the conference booklet, in the symposium booklet, and you all should have the link. So Elisa.
Okay. First of all, I want to it's necessary to introduce you the Easy Travel, which is a great digital tool that can contribute to both making cultural institutions more inclusive and encouraging citizens and communities to actively mold the way cultural heritage is presented and understood. Easy Travel is a global free storytelling platform based on democratization of cultural content and languages, and born with the aim to help organizations in the heritage and tourism sectors to bring their stories to life. It is, so please, the next one. It is based, the next one again, it is based on participatory culture, creativity, and storytelling, and thanks to its gratuity, both from the user's side and from the producer's side, Easy Travel is also a digital key tool. By self-creating their own audio guides and audio tours, it offers institutions the opportunity to upload and manage self-generated content to enhance on-site visits or to facilitate itinerary planning. So the next one. In this way, it plays a great key role in democratization and promotion of culture and territories through storytelling, allowing people to discover culture and tourist places via the web platform and via the Easy Travel General Hub, available from the main app stores. So the next one. So my contribution, my receipt of the core theme of the event is about presenting how cultural institutions can engage local communities in a more inclusive and practical way through digital storytelling. According to the example of the participatory project made in Sicily, I carry out in Sicily since May 2016. The next one. So the first main aim of the Travel Sicilia project was to bridge the gap of digital communication and enhancement of cultural heritage through participatory and co-creative processes with local stakeholders and communities. The next one. By creating city studio tours and museum audio guides under my general and regional level management, coordination and support within a large regional scale process in Sicily. The next one. So the project has been soon transformed into a participatory process by involving more than 4,000 people as digital ciceroni, representing the heritage communities cited by the Faro Convention, coming from different ranges of Sicilian heritage communities, from students to scholars and museum curators. More than 300 audio guides have been created, and more than 3,000 stories have been geolocated. So the next one, please. This is a great example on how institutional cultural heritage can reconnect themselves to youth and local communities in general by co-creating both digital content and cultural and social values within a democratic, horizontal, and inclusive participatory process in a typical local cultural framework. The next one. So right from the beginning of the project, the number of stakeholders and storytellers to be engaged was enlarged on the whole regional scale by involving all those local heritage communities that wanted to join the project. The next one. So with these keywords, which can be related to the whole project, and according to the result we obtained in Sicily since 2016, I can finally resume my considerations about the complex, transformative process I've been able to carry on by using this digital tool for social inclusion and cultural participation, and by stimulating emotional and creative involvement of people. The project, in fact, could be replicated on different scales for single projects, because it is made of single local storytelling projects. It's not important a regional coordination, such as happening in Sicily. So the last one, the Travel Sicilia. Sicilia could be recognized as a good practice of cultural content and values co-creation, joining people in smart heritage communities, able to create new collaborative city-making practices, thus demonstrating how creative involvement is the key today to create sustainable and long-term cultural processes, so revealing a great social impact around the importance to reconnect civil society with their own heritage and culture. So thanks, and sorry.
Fantastic. Thank you, Elisa, and thanks, Danilo, for helping us.
Thank you, Danilo.
True example of collaboration at a distance.
Yeah.
Great.